Hey!
Hey!
We thought you might want to hear some clapping, Darden. We're, we're waiting for a few more folks, but we thought we'd go ahead and get started. Can you hear me all right? Okay. All right. So, Darden, are you there? You have to unmute yourself.
How about now?
Now we can hear you.
Uh,
So that was a really great.
You've been listening to me all for an hour. It seems like you could take a break. I don't know.
Well, once again, thank you so much for the show. It was really great, and we're just.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. And we're just gonna start the show, and as people.
Hey, Joe Fab. Joe Fab. Yo, dude.
How you doing? Great to see you and hear you.
Yeah, brother. Wow. That's awesome. Cool.
Okay, so Darden, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we're going to open it up for other people to ask. How's
Yeah,
that?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first one. I know of you not only as a songwriter, but you're also a wonderful sketch artist. I actually, when you played at my house, I was kind of upset I didn't buy the sketch that you did outside my backyard. I was like, wow, I missed it.
It's never too late to get another. It's never too late to get another one, Susie.
Oh, definitely. But anyway,
everything is for
sale. That's true, just like the mansion. The other thing, the other thing is I read that you wrote your first song at like when you were 10 years old. And I remember you. Yeah, I think I read it somewhere. Like you wrote it was really early. And then I also think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that I remember a story where you had mentioned about you like to draw, and someone somewhere, I guess said that they didn't think your drawing was that great or something.
Well, I used to get teased about my drawings all the time when I was a kid. I'm left-handed, and I had dysgraphia really bad when I was a kid. So dysgraphia is a thing where you can't like put it's better now, it's pretty much gone, but it's where you can't, if you try to draw something on the page, you don't necessarily get the eyes and the ears and the nose in the right place. It looks like Mr. Potato Head on acid. It's like but I used to draw cars. I was way into cars, and I used to draw these cars, and they would just look weird. It would look like they were in a car wreck, and so I just got tired of people teasing me, so I just quit drawing when I was about 9 or 10, and I didn't draw again until I was about 30, and it was a total accident. Like, I just drew something accidentally, and it was so fun that I just started drawing. But I didn't show anybody my drawings until about 3 years ago. I started drawing again when I was 30, but I didn't really show anybody my drawings until about 3 years ago when I put out Everything, the art director, I showed him all these drawings I've been doing, and he was like, well, let's just put them in the book. And I was like, oh my God, no. I mean, what if people laugh at me? What if people think I'm silly? And he goes, no, I like them. And so we filled the book with everything. And then the same art director designed the book, Habit of Noticing, but the drawings were first on that record cover, everything. But it's good because they're really small drawings, especially on the CD. They're like about the size of like a quarter inch. So people can't really tell what they are anyway. So, but yeah, that kind of kickstarted me again. So really, I was sparked by two friends of mine, that art director, and then another gallery owner, a guy named Bale Allen, who Bale Allen sort of sparked me to start showing people. Yeah. So.
Well, I love your drawings. I think they're really, I don't know, they just say so much. They're very simplistic, but at the same time, they seem to communicate a lot to me.
Yeah, well, it's fun. Yeah. They're lighter than guitars too. Great.
But obviously, you were very talented at a young age. And I guess when you're drawing and then your songwriting, what did you have an idea like before people didn't said something to you about your drawings and made you stop doing it? Did you know what you wanted to do first? Like,
oh yeah, I wanted to be an astronomer. So I wanted to be an astronomer, but unfortunately I can't add very well. So that sort of ruled me out of that game. And no, I didn't even know that you could be a musician growing up. And my parents were they just had I didn't know a single professional artist or musician or anything until I was 19. I'd never met one until I was 19. So I didn't even know that you could do it until I was about 16. My dad pointed out to me, we were watching TV. We were watching Guy Clark actually on Austin City Limits. My dad pointed out, he said, "Son, I bet he's getting paid." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, he's getting paid." That was the first time it ever occurred to me that people actually got paid to write songs and make a living. I knew nothing about it. So up until then, I wanted to be like, I thought I might be a lawyer, or I thought I might be like, I don't know. I didn't know. I was really lost, as a matter of fact. During high school, I was massively lost. I loved to write songs, but it was so strange for my family and for the sort of the way that I grew up that it never occurred to me that I could actually make a living at it until that night when I was 16. And then it was like, oh my God, you just ruined my life, Dad.
And so I guess, all right. So then, what finally inspired you to write a song and move forward with
when I was in the fourth grade, when I was 10,
right?
What inspired me?
Mm-hmm.
I was taking guitar lessons I had this really hip guitar teacher. I lived in this little town in Texas, okay, and I lived on a farm and everything. But I had this guitar teacher who was the choir teacher at my church. I was in the choir, and the choir teacher's daughter, she was adopted from the Philippines. And so she was the most exotic thing in a 3-county radius, 4-county. It was just like, she was just gorgeous. Her name was Naomi Simon. She was like 17 or 18. So imagine, I'm 10, okay? She's 17 and gorgeous, and the guitar lessons are in her bedroom. It was awesome. I was so in love. I thought that Naomi and I had a great future ahead of us. But then, I hit the 5th grade and everything went to hell. Yeah, one night she was teaching me all of Harvest and After the Gold Rush, the albums, Neil Young's. I was learning all of those. And there's a picture in After the Gold Rush in the songbook. It's in the album cover too, but in the songbook of Neil Young, and he's kind of reclining on this couch. He's in the studio. He's at Sound City, actually, in LA. He's reclining on his couch. He's all strung out, on heroin and everything. And he's got ratty jeans on. And I go, "Wow, who's that?" And she said, "Well, that's Neil Young. That's who wrote the songs." And I was like, "That guy? That guy wrote the songs?" And I was really kind of offended by this thing. It was like, and I was like, "Wow, well, if he can write the songs, can I write songs?" And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, how do you write a song?" And she said, "Well, it's just poetry put to music." Fortunately, I already knew how to write poetry. I was already writing poetry in the 3rd grade. It was these little couplets and stuff. And so I just went home that night and wrote a song. I just went home and wrote a song about my girlfriend. And so, yeah, that's where it started. And it was so fun. And then I wrote like 4 or 5 songs, and then my family moved off that farm into the suburbs of Houston when I was in the 8th grade. And I was such a Martian in that world. It was just suburbia. It was like moving in DC. It would be like moving to Alexandria, Virginia, or something like that. It was just like so weird, and for me, and I just sat in my room all the time and wrote songs after that point. But it was the only place I knew I was safe. And songwriting still is like the safe place for me. That's why I go. I know that I'm sort of got some safety there.
So obviously Neil Young was an influence. What about other artists that kind of
well, interesting. Yeah, that's another thing I've been doing during the pandemic is I've been learning songs. I've been going back and just learning these old songs. Like the last song that I've been learning was Rocket Man, Elton John's Rocket Man. It's a fascinating song. It's really, anyway, it's an amazing song. There's 4 distinct melodies in Rocket Man. It's really cool. 4. And each one of them is a hook. There's 4 hooks. Anyway, but during the time growing up, I was really influenced by Jim Croce, actually, and Neil Young. Leon Russell Carney was the first record I ever got. And I still listen to Carney. It's an amazing record. I learned Manhattan Island Serenade about 3 months ago. Just sitting on a highway in a broken van, and so that was the early influence of Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt. Of course, the whole Texas thing that was happening. Jerry Jeff Walker, Willie Nelson, John Prine, and then when I was like 16 or something like that. I heard Tangled Up in Blue. No, yeah, it was Tangled Up in Blue. Yeah, and I think it was Tangled. No, Shelter from the Storm. That's what it was. Shelter from the Storm. I heard Shelter from the Storm, and I was like, oh my god. And then I went out and bought that record, and it was like, I got way off into Dylan. Simple Twist of Fate was like this song. That's what it was. I heard Simple Twist of Fate on the radio. And I just remember like going, oh my God, where's this guy coming from? Because it was so different than sort of straight ahead songs. It was so radically different. So then I got really into that. So all that stuff thrown together. And then when I hit college, I got way into English music, like Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe and that stuff. And so you throw all that stuff in a pot, mix it up. That's where I come from, so.
Well, I want to ask you if you could retell your story about Paul Williams. It was the end of it got cut off a little bit. I'd really like to hear that again. Yes.
Yeah, well, Paul and I met Paul at this dinner, and in LA, and it was this amazing dinner where like three people that I met, these three songwriters that I wound up writing songs with forever. But Paul was sitting next to me, and it was like, oh my God, it's Paul Williams. It's like I felt like I was on Hollywood Squares or something, and he was just the nicest guy. And I wound up writing, I said, let's write a song. And he said, yes. I couldn't believe it. And so we wound up writing this song, and the song was terrible. It was just incredibly bad. And but the day was beautiful. It was just so great. Just talking with him and hanging out with him was kind of a life I was going through a really difficult time. I just got a divorce and lost my record deal. I was trying to figure out where I fit in. And Paul was this guy who'd been through the trenches, man. He just like been to hell and back. And he was so positive, and he was so happy, and he was like so feeling blessed about things. And I was like, God, man, I want to be that guy. And it was really, I've never kind of forgotten that's what it's about, is feeling blessed. It's not about some career thing. It's more about work. And that was really influenced me. I never worry about my career. It's like, I don't even know what my career is anymore. It's work. And do I work? And do I love the work? If I love the work, then I'm fine. And I tend to get paid when I worry about that. That's when I get paid. Yeah, we have a question. Yeah, Ted.
Hey, Darden, it's Ted from the Mansion. First of all,
hey, man, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Paul is a great, great friend of the Mansion. In fact, H and I took one trip during the pandemic, and it was to visit Paul and Mariana out in Taos for a week, and wow. It was just wonderful. So while you were telling that story, I actually taped it on my phone and sent it to him.
Oh, wow, cool.
And he said, sweet, wish I could hear it, give him my best. He said, tell him about how much I was enjoying the process. Yeah, I think we wrote a B- song that day, but I remember.
He's being positive.
I think I lost.
It's funny, when we got together, when I took that picture of him one day, I met him in New York, and we looked at, I sort of gave him a copy of the before it was in the book, I gave it to him. I said, you okay with me putting this in a book? And he kind of looked, he read it, and he kind of chuckled. He looked up and he goes, that song was pretty bad, wasn't it? I was like, yeah, pretty bad. But, yeah, that's beautiful.
He called it a B-, but I remember loving it.
That's great.
Paul's a wonderful, wonderful man. Oh,
he is wonderful. So anybody else got any other questions you'd like to know or anything I can help you?
Sure, I do.
Joe Fab, yes.
How nice to see you.
Yeah, now Joe Fab was in Africa when I was in Botswana. Joe Fab was there. That's right.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So this picture hangs on my wall. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, raise it. There you go. Yeah, man. Yeah, with God, what was her name? The young girl.
Maria, and the little boy was Innocence.
Innocence.
And those are the only names I recall. But I never think to ask you when I see you whether you wrote any songs that that you play in your shows or you've recorded from that trip.
I don't know. That was so. What this trip was is that we. I'm still not quite sure how I got pulled into this thing, but it was
neither.
was just like this. Joe and I were like, but anyway, it was a group of. I may get it wrong, Joe. You can correct me, but it was a group of an evangelical church and an evangelical community outside of Detroit.
Right.
They would gather shipping containers full of Ensure, the nutritional drink, and they would get them donated and everything, and then they would ship these shipping containers to South Africa, to Johannesburg, to a missionary church in Johannesburg, and the Johannesburg church would ship part of the shipment to Botswana, which is just north of South Africa. And the Ensure was distributed to people with HIV, so that they could get their basic nutrient level up, so that the medicine for HIV would work. Because if you don't have a certain nutrient level, it doesn't work. So that's what we were there to make a documentary about this. And so Joe was doing the written. I think you were doing the written part, correct?
Doing the interviews, and then,
right. There was the photographer, Andy. That's how we all got there, Andy.
And Rob, Andy.
Yeah, that's right. So he's from Germany, and then and I was there. This guy Andy Wakeford from he's English, but he lives in Germany. He said we should bring Darden because Darden can write songs with these people. So I was there like to write songs with you, and I almost didn't go because I was going, why? I'm going flying all the way across Africa. Then I was like, God, when's the next time someone's going to fly me to Africa? So it was a life-changing experience for me. It totally changed so much of my life, and it was beautiful. I don't sing, and we wrote a bunch of songs and made recordings and stuff. It was really great. I don't sing those songs in my live performance because there's too many songs, but I sing them at church. Oddly enough, I sing those songs because I get asked to play at the church I go to, and so quite often I'll like once a year if I'm there. I haven't sang recently because we haven't been going to church, but yeah, I'll sing those songs. The Three Pillars songs is the one that I go back to a lot, and it's just really a beautiful thing, beautiful experience.
So many times I've told people about that evening when that picture was taken with the kid.
Yeah.
That was extraordinary.
Yeah, these kids had never seen a guitar. They'd never seen one, and so I was playing the guitar, and the kids would come up, and they would just do this on my guitar strings. And I would change my strings, and they were playing music, and they were freaking out. It was just amazing, and they were dancing, and I was.
And you remember you broke a string, and we thought, okay, that's it. We go inside the house, and then I guess you changed the string, but we thought it was over. And then these little faces appeared at that door.
That's right. They're peeking. These kids were peeking in the window, wanting me to play more music, and so I had to go back out on the porch and play music. It was
great, really.
It was an amazing thing. The thing I remember when we were in, so we landed in Johannesburg, and we didn't even see Johannesburg. We went from the airport straight to a township, and the town, 30% of the people in this township have HIV. It was just horrific and beautiful all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But we were told, like, don't go outside of the compound of the church. Remember that? We were like, don't leave the compound. It's not safe. And no one would talk to me. I was this, white guy walking around with a guitar, like nobody was talking to me. And so finally I just put my guitar on, and I'm just bored because no one would talk to me. And I'm standing by the gate, and the same thing happened. These kids came up to the gate, and they're like pawing at my guitar. And so I just abandoned all caution and walked out of the gate of this compound. And I was surrounded by these kids, and I just sat there and played guitar for them. And then somebody said, "Do you know a Bob Marley song?" And I played a Bob Marley song for them. And after that, I was safe, man. I was cool. I could walk around. I just walked around with my guitar on, and I realized that this guitar is my ticket to anywhere. As long as I have a guitar on, I'm safe, and I've never forgotten that. It's really amazing. So yeah,
great trip. It was really great. I almost didn't go either, and then what a mistake that would have been.
My life would not be the same. I don't think I'd be. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be sitting where I am today, actually. So yeah. Well, this is crazy. Anybody have any other questions or anything you'd like to know? But yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so talking about your travels, once we can travel again, where would you like to go that you haven't been to before, either to play music or just to visit?
I mean, I've been so many places that, I mean, I've never been to Asia. That would be cool. There's actually a chance I'm going to Sri Lanka in the not too distant part. My girlfriend, my partner, she's doing some work right now with a company in Sri Lanka. There's a possibility that we're going to go to Sri Lanka, which would be amazing because we stop in India. But I don't know. I want to go back to the places where a couple of places that I go to a lot is actually I've been so many places, and all of the places I go to are pretty much work oriented. The places that I love, except I went to Rome recently, and I absolutely fell in love with Rome. I really want to go back to Rome. I started an art project while I was there, and I want to go back to Rome. I need to be there to do this work. But I really miss London for some reason. Like I've got a lot of friends in London. I love London. It's a weird kind of city. It's one of those beautiful cities where it's so gorgeous and you can get completely messed up. Like you can get in a lot of trouble in London and it's dangerous, So I miss that. I miss Glasgow really bad. I love Glasgow. I miss Paris like a lot. And I mean, in America, I really miss Arizona. Actually, I was going out to Arizona a lot, and I haven't been out to Arizona. I really miss Arizona. So I mean, I know that sounds not really romantic and everything, but I have friends in all these cities, and I want to go see my friends. I don't really need to see someplace new, although I will, But I like going back and digging deeper and deeper into cities that I know already, and I like getting lost in those cities. And in all those cities, in Paris and London especially, I can kind of walk across them without a map. I've been to them so many times. And the ability to go to a place where you don't speak a language, like I speak enough French to kind of order a cafe, but that's about it. But it's a beautiful thing because you get lost in these cities, but you're kind of safe. And, so I want to go to Rome really bad just to eat. Yeah. So
Great. Well, I've been enjoying your live streams, and as Susie said earlier, everything on repeat is like I keep listening to your music over and over and over, and never tire of it. And I'm glad you're doing new stuff, but never tire of all your music.
Well, this you could get the flash drive here with you'd be sick of me by the time you get to listen to all this. Yeah.
Darden, I was asked if you could let us know how to get your book, The Habit of Noticing.
You can go to. I have a website. I just launched this new website. It's dardensmith-art.com. So dardensmith-art, and there's a tab on there for books. And you can check out all my art and stuff there. There's a lot of art, but then you can also order the books from there, and I'll send you one. Yeah, I'll sign it, send it to you. It's great. So, yeah, it's great.
I think H might want one.
I think we can make that happen. Yeah, we can make that happen. Yeah. So yeah.
So Darden, I had one more comment from Paul. He just texted me. He said,
"Oh yeah,
his book is terrific. Wisdom, nice." That's what he said. He liked your book,
man. You don't really get a better recommendation than that.
Yeah, really.
Than Paul Williams. It's like so amazing.
And thanks for mentioning Carney. Carney is one of the most underrated, forgotten albums ever.
Carney?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, it's incredible. It's amazing.
Every track.
It's so great. And when you try to play Leon Russell songs, if you're not a really good musician, you're not going to be able to pull it off. It's really hard. It's like he's amazing.
And Manhattan Island Serenade. Could you just play one line on it on piano?
It's like I can play it on guitar easier.
Oh, that's great. What an incredible song.
Sitting on a highway in a broken van, thinking of you again. Guess I had to ditch the station. Every step I see your face, like a mirror looking back at me, saying you're the only one. to survive. And so glad to be alive. Nowhere to run, not a guitar to play. Just up inside and it's been raining all day since you went away. Manhattan Island Serenade. And it does the same thing over. It's not like a long song. It's so great because he sings the same thing twice. It's like you
Just
think it's so
wonderful.
deep. It's just really like it's the same thing. It's like a Merle Haggard song. Anyway,
But his vocals, his voice, the whole thing, just what an amazing
yeah, it's
artist.
great. It was at the height of the LSD thing, so it's also very trippy, which I love that. So,
Darn.
anyway, I bet I listened to that record. I listened to it 3 days ago. So I've been listening to that record for like 40 years of my life. Same record. It never gets, and it's also music. I did this documentary a long time ago, a radio documentary for the BBC, and I interviewed all these Texas singer-songwriters. And all of them, you could trace the music they listened to before they were 18. You could trace it to their music now and how their music is. What we listened to when we were kids goes in there very deep. And so my music, you can trace the way my records sound back to Carney and Harvest and things like that. It's like it's the same sound, and it's really great. So, well, all right. Anybody else? What else can I help? Yeah.
Just real quick, what's your what's that website address for
It's
the
DardenSmith-art.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to write that down and send it out to folks.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Darden. We really appreciate it here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And thanks for the encore.
Yeah, you bet. You bet. All right, it's good to see you. Good to see you, Joe Fab.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Y'all have a great evening and a good week.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you, everybody else for joining.
Stay well, everybody.
The next show is March 28th with Will Kimbrough. So I hope you can make it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Susie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.